Hello and welcome back to another episode of Transport Fever 2. In this video, we're going to be changing things up with our Santa Clarita train station by adding in a elevated train station, and then I think we're going to try to extend the passenger line that we're currently on all the way out to the lower end of Montgomery so that we have a much higher capacity connection between those two cities. And so pretty much the plan is going to be to switch this station out for an elevated train station, where then we'll run this line pretty much right along where we have this big elevation change, so we won't be really cutting off any roads or traffic anyway. And then once things start to even out somewhere over here, we'll either cut through the city or under the city. Not sure what I want to do yet, and then we'll pretty much make our way over to Montgomery, where we'll probably get a passenger station either along this road or this road. And this will be pretty helpful because, first of all, it won't funnel all of our traffic to this train station, or even in the case of Santa Clarita and Montgomery, force a bunch of private transportation on this road for people to go between cities. And I think this will also help draw some more development down into this area. Now I know down here is getting pretty far away from the main area of the city, but everything up here we can cover pretty easily with our road network because it's pretty flat. However, down here everything gets sort of funneled onto this main road, so I think maybe having a train connection along this way, at least just to Santa Clarita, could provide a ton of benefits that way. And so I think let's just get right into this, and we'll start by deleting this train station. It might get a little messy in here because we have a lot of existing stuff and some details that we built and everything like that, but this seems like a good place to start off. We'll probably want to delete these buildings, which we placed down, so we'll have to delete all the other stuff that we had here. And so this also leaves us with a really good opportunity to upgrade this road that's connecting to sort of our outlet along this area. And this is probably long overdue, as we've been having traffic problems in this area, and we still do. We can see there's a ton of cars trying to get through this way. So I think maybe coming off of our main road here, if we can upgrade this to 4 lanes all the way through, that would be a huge improvement in terms of how traffic flows through here. And so let's start off with these road network changes. We'll want to be deleting all of these roads, and we're going to have to be careful when we put these back so that it still somewhat conforms to what we've built here, since we did put a good amount of time and effort into this, so I don't want to just completely delete it and ignore it. Alright, so now we have our new street connection built here, and you can just see how that aligns like this. So now pretty much what we want to do is figure out what these connections are going to look like. Alright, so we'll try this setup with our road. We have it now as a 2-way or 4-lane 2-way road all the way through, so this path sort of takes precedent as the main road throughout the city. We'll still keep this connection, as I still think a lot of people use this to get to these larger buildings, but I think for this, we'll see how it works. Hopefully we don't overload it with too much traffic. I think we will, however, keep or have this connection still be a 1-way street, just so people don't see it to be quicker to come down this road and then turn to go into Center City. So we'll see how this goes with dividing up traffic. And then something I wanted to try over here with our cargo station quick is adding another road entrance over this side of it. And so now the good thing about this connection is hopefully our trucks will come in here, they'll go through and do it, or drop off whatever they need, and then come out this way instead of having to loop all the way sort of into the city and back around. I think this also means we can upgrade this back to being a 4-lane road if we can get this to let us do it. And so now we have a 2-lane road coming out here. So I think all of this should be connected and working again. So there's nothing more we have to do with our roads. Alright, so now all that's left is to put down our elevated train station. I believe we have this lined up with the road about as best we can. It looks like, yeah, this is probably the best rotation that we're going to get. So we'll pull this back a decent bit from the road, just so we have space to add details and build it up how we want. But then we can come in here and configure it. Alright, so now that we have this station here, we moved it a little bit closer to the road, just so we can get some slightly better connections. There's quite a few things that we can add to sort of spruce up the area. So we might be continuing to adjust where this station sits exactly. So we might give it just a tiny bit more space. Alright, so now that we have our connections down here made, I think with this being an elevated station, we actually have a pretty interesting opportunity where we can essentially just grab these passenger buildings, and I think if we actually grab maybe a large one, we can have it sitting just on the edge here. So we'll add that in, we'll get this, and then we'll get another side building. We can actually connect up to this area of the city. We'll just have to do a little bit of terraforming in order to bring a road in here, but that'll give us access to this area where we could probably add a bus station or a bus stop into our network and have more connections that way. And so let's come in here and we'll flatten all this area in front of here to be about the same height. And now that we have this area pretty flattened out, we can come in with just a regular city street. We'll get one coming right along the front here. We'll try to line it up so it's perfectly straight, and then all we have to do is find spots to connect this to. And so I think we can just bring a road up like so, and then we can bring this around. We'll actually line it up a little bit straighter, and then bring that to connect there. And so now we can see that our connected area now includes this whole area up here, and I think we might be able to, if possible, well, I guess it's kind of pointless because we have our bus station down here that's also connected to the train station. But I'm wondering if maybe there's some way we could have another line that sort of serves off of here, and maybe it just connects to these stations and does like a small loop across the city. So we'll just have a simple bus stop right in front. And so then what we can do is find some buses that we like. And let's just start off with 6 buses, since this line's not really going to be too big, but it'll pretty much connect here. We'll go to this street. I think then we'll come around to this stop, this stop, this stop, and then I think that's going to be our loop. We might actually add another stop there. But I think this works out pretty well, and we'll leave it like this. We could actually maybe switch this to be the other way, just so the bus drops off right in front of the train station. But now that should work. And so really all it seems that we need to get this functional is to connect up the tracks, and then we can let it play while we detail this new station and make it look nice. And so really what I think is going to work out best for a line like this is to start off from the station here, and we'll have this pretty much come out straight all the way till about here, where we'll start coming down, and then we can slowly bring it down and connect up somewhere out in this area. We might even be able to keep it elevated so we don't have to dip down and then climb back up this hill. I don't think that climb is really an issue for our trains anymore, but still it might just be nice to have that there. And so we'll bring our tracks straight out like so, and it looks like they fit just nicely right under our cargo bridge that sort of covers this area of the city. But we can continue to bring this around. We might actually pull this back a little bit so we can keep our speed up. Alright, so here's our new bridge that spans across this way and comes up and into the city of Santa Clarita. I'm kind of mixed feelings on it. I'm not too sure how I feel about this way out here, but let me know what you think. I'm gonna leave it like this, but we'll get our signals back in, we'll get our crossover back in before the station, and then we should be good to let this play out. Alright, and so here's what this looks like, sort of riding along the tunnel here. When it's done autosaving, we'll get a view again of it coming into the station here inside of the city. And so the good thing about elevating all of this track is that the city now has room to grow underneath these tracks. So instead of just having those two small roads, one on each side, the city is now able to sort of build its own grid underneath this. So it gives some space for the city to grow. And as you can see here, coming into the station, I kind of like how this looks. The only thing that I don't really like about this station is there's not really any fences or anything sort of preventing anyone from falling off the platform, but when we come in and detail this, there might be something I can add in. And so let's come back in here and get all of our collision tiles back in, just so the city doesn't start building over our own builds while we come through and detail the station. Alright, and so now that we have our collision tiles in, we can let this play out, and we'll be back once this whole area is detailed up. Alright, and so here is our final detailed station. It wasn't really too much. We added some extra things down here, pretty much just some seats and waiting areas sort of at the base of each of these elevators. We added, if we can get zoomed in enough, we did add a fence along the outside of this station so it looks safe. And then we just sort of covered up some of these rough edges with some trees, so hopefully that should work out just fine. We might have to get a few more a little closer to the building, but I'm pretty happy with how this looks, and I think we can now extend our rail through and connect over to Montgomery. Actually, before we finish up here and move on, I do want to take a look at the traffic and make sure this is flowing, since we now see we have a ton of our buses sort of blocked up here. So let's get to the bottom of that first of all. And so one of the lines I see right away that could be fixed pretty easily is this one here. And honestly, I think we might be able to shift some of these away from a bus station and more just into a bus stop. But I want to try first adding waypoints out here so we can maybe get our buses to come around the right way first. So we'll manage this line, and we'll have this come around and come to that waypoint, so that way it's not coming left and then blocking a bunch of traffic when it turns into here. We do have another line that does something pretty similar, so let's see if we can do the same thing here. So this just sort of has it flip around, so we might want to have another waypoint. And so before that other waypoint, we will have it come to here. Or actually, I think we might have messed this up. So there we go. Now this line is set up pretty well. I'm tempted to add a bus lane onto this stretch of road just so our buses can come in and out of here much easier. And I'm almost tempted to do the same here. Have this be a 4-lane road with a bus lane. However, first of all, let's just see if we can even get a 4-lane road in here. And we'll have that pretty much stop back here. And so, one other thing that we can actually do to probably help out a ton more is to actually change where our buses come onto this street. So it doesn't look like we can easily add that anywhere. So we might have to delete this and rotate it so it either comes onto this street or this street down here. And so I think if we get this and we just right click to have it built here, we'll have to delete our collision tile so we can expand it. But if we grab our passenger stuff, seems to still be collisions. So now we can come through, add in our other passenger stops. So something like this. And then I don't think we can get one building here. And that's pretty much all we had before. So we can leave that. So now we'll just have to clean up some of the things that we added in here before. And then let's see how that affects everything else coming through here. And so we'll want to manage these lines and take away these waypoints that we added. We could actually probably just delete them and that will automatically fix our lines. So quite simply like that. And then we'll just have to switch around these terminals so that our buses can spread out evenly. And if we take a look here, we're still connected to this train station, which is just fine. And so hopefully now, just by simply getting our buses off of our main road, I'm hoping that we'll start to see all of this clear up, as our buses will no longer need to come down this road, or at least partly. We can see some of these buses are doing some weird things. Although I suppose we could turn this back into a two-way street. This doesn't have to be one way anymore. But now the only thing I worry about with it being a one or a two-way street is all of our lines coming and turning left to go down this street. So we'll take a look here, and any of them that are coming through here will add a waypoint, I suppose here, and we'll have them all sort of turn off of this road and come in on a much smaller street. Alright, so now we'll have to see and pretty much wait to see if that solves a lot of our issues. I have a sinking feeling it might not, but we'll just have to keep an eye on it as we continue to go through. However, now we can finally bring our tracks out of Santa Clarita and connect up into Montgomery. And so let's just get things set up here in Montgomery first. And it's looking like, well, I guess we can get a train station in here right at this bus stop, and then we'll do some changing around of these roads to get it to work. Alright, so we actually did change things up here to get a better spot for our passenger station, but all this should still work just fine. It looks like most of these buildings are still connected to our bus stops. Maybe we could actually move this a little bit closer. So maybe like there. That should work still. And then now really it's just connecting up our tracks, and then we can get a train running on this line. And so pretty much this is just going to be a matter of getting this to fit all the way through the city. Alright, and so finally, after quite a while of trying to fit this in right, we have our connection between Montgomery and Santa Clarita. We're just following it here through the hills. We go over a few bridges, into a few tunnels, and then coming into Santa Clarita, we're pretty much elevated the entire way through here. I might actually keep this portion elevated as well. So, thinking about how best we want to get that to happen. I think we'll just level out the whole area underneath, like so pretty much, and then we'll drag our tracks back around to connect up. Get the signals back in that we had here, and then everything should be good to go from there. So now all we have to do is find a train depot or build one. I think, yeah, this one's a little too far away to connect, so we'll just quickly connect one up out here, get some trains running, and then I think that's where we'll pretty much end this video off. And so thinking about a train that we want to run between these cities, I think we're going to do one of these multi-unit trains, as these are usually pretty good trains for sort of intermediate distance travel. And this one here looks pretty good. It has very good capacity, a pretty decent top speed, and if we take a look here, it should get up to its top speed at a fairly decent rate. So let's start off with 3 of these trains. We'll set up our new line that runs from Montgomery to this Santa Clarita line, and then we'll take a look at it as it runs through, make sure passengers are queuing up, and then we should be good from there. Alright, so our train here heading out of Montgomery has 1 passenger waiting, so we know that people are getting to the Montgomery station, and then checking in over here, we already have a few people waiting in Santa Clarita, so we know this end is working. So hopefully as time goes on, this line will continue to grow demand, and we should see these trains running pretty full. So quickly before we end off here, we'll delete this train depot now that all of the trains are out. And so now that will be all for this episode. So if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions or feedback, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.